Most players just spin slots and hope for luck. There's a clear way to approach Starburst with strategy. If you've ever wondered how to maximize your wins and avoid costly mistakes, this guide breaks it all down. Starburst looks simple, but behind its glowing gems lies a slot designed to balance excitement with steady gameplay. The first key to winning is recognizing what Starburst is and what it isn't. It's not a slot with massive jackpots or complex features like free spin rounds. Instead, it's a low to medium variance slot, where wins come more often but usually in smaller amounts. The expanding wilds that trigger respins are where the magic happens. Understanding this sets your expectations and helps you build the right strategy. I always begin my Starburst sessions by setting my bankroll in dollar terms. Let's say I start with $10,000. My first rule is to divide this bankroll into at least 100 spins worth of betting. That means if I'm betting $50 per spin, I have 200 spins in my budget. This is crucial because Starburst rewards patience. The expanding wilds might take 30, 40, or even 70 spins to show up. If you bet too high and blow through your bankroll in just 20 spins, you'll likely miss the cycles where the real wins appear. The sweet spot for bet sizing on Starburst is usually between $20 and $80 per spin, depending on your bankroll. I've tested smaller and larger bets, and I've noticed that Starburst plays best when you can stretch your session. If you go too low, like $10 per spin, your wins feel insignificant. If you go too high, like $200 or more, you risk ending your session before hitting a good wild streak. So, I recommend staying within that balanced range unless you're intentionally chasing a quick, high-risk session. One of the most overlooked strategies on Starburst is session timing. Since the game doesn't have bonus rounds, players often treat it like a filler slot, playing a few spins here and there. But in my experience, the best wins come in streaks. When wilds land in back-to-back spins, the respins can chain together and fill entire reels. To take advantage of this, I set aside time for 100 to 200 spins in one sitting. This way, I give myself a better chance of catching the game during one of its hot cycles. The respin mechanic is where you'll either make or break your session. When a wild lands, it expands and locks, giving you a free respin. If another wild lands during that respin, you get another. With multiple reels filled, the line wins across Starburst's 10 pay lines can be surprisingly strong. My strategy here is to lean on mid-level bets during normal spins, but slightly increase my bet size after a dry run of 40 to 50 spins. This pressure bet method has helped me land some of my biggest Starburst wins, especially when a wild finally shows after a quiet stretch. Bankroll cycling is another secret weapon. Let's say I start with $10,000. If I reach $12,000, I immediately set aside $2,000 as secured winnings and keep playing with the remaining $10,000. This way, even if the game turns cold, I leave with profit. Conversely, if my bankroll drops to $7,000, I'll either stop for the session or lower my bet to preserve spins. Starburst design means you won't win on every set of 10 spins, but with proper bankroll cycling, you can ride out the losses and be ready for when the wilds hit. Another point players often miss: Starburst pays both ways. This means winning lines are formed left to right and right to left. Understanding this helps you appreciate why smaller wins occur more often and why filling the middle reels with wilds can explode into massive payouts. For example, landing wilds on reels 2, 3, and 4 can generate wins across almost every pay line. This is the exact setup where consistent, mid-level bets pay off the most. Now, let's talk about session goals. I never go into Starburst expecting to hit a life-changing win that's Mega Moolah's job, not Starburst's. Instead, I aim to double my bankroll in a session or secure at least 30 to 50% profit. If I start with $10,000, I'm happy walking away at $13,000 or $15,000. This mindset keeps me disciplined and avoids the trap of chasing losses or sitting too long after a big hit. There's also a psychological strategy in play. Because Starburst delivers frequent small wins, it's easy to get lulled into spinning endlessly. To combat this, I structure my session into blocks of 50 spins. After each block, I check my bankroll. If I'm up, I note the profit. If I'm down, I decide whether to adjust bet size or reset. This block system keeps me sharp and focused instead of mindlessly spinning. Starburst's simplicity can also be used to your advantage if you play it alongside higher variance slots. For example, I sometimes use Starburst as my balance booster. I'll run 100 spins at $50, while waiting for bigger slots like Gates of Olympus or Dead or Alive 2 to cool down. Because Starburst has steady payouts, it helps sustain my bankroll and builds patience for riskier games. In this sense, Starburst isn't just a slot to play on its own, it's also a strategic tool for broader bankroll management. One of my most memorable Starburst sessions started with just $5,000 in my balance. My plan was simple: steady wagers of $50 per spin. That size is small enough to protect my bankroll, but big enough to make wins meaningful. At first, it felt like any other Starburst session: steady spins, a few minor line wins, and plenty of anticipation. For the first 30 or so spins, nothing major happened. But on the 61st spin, the reels aligned in a way I'll never forget. A wild appeared on reel 2, locking in place and triggering a respin. I smiled because this is where Starburst can shift momentum. On the respin, another wild landed on reel 3. Now I had 2 expanding wild reels locked, and the energy in the room changed. The third respin rolled in, and reel 4 exploded with another wild. Suddenly, my screen was glowing with cascading gems across multiple pay lines. The sound effects intensified, coins began stacking, and I knew this was going to be one of those Starburst moments that make the game legendary. That chain of wilds delivered $3,200 in one burst. I didn't celebrate right away, I cycled the win carefully. The key here wasn't to blow it all, chasing the next big hit. I pulled aside $1,500, locking it in as guaranteed profit. With the remaining balance, I kept spinning. This rhythm, protecting a chunk of winnings while letting the rest ride, has saved me countless times. By the time the session closed, I walked away with $9,000. It wasn't a jackpot story, but it was nearly doubling my bankroll in less than an hour. That's the kind of sustainable success Starburst delivers if you treat it right. Now, here's the reality. Starburst isn't designed to hand out massive 10,000 times payouts like some high volatility slots. Its ceiling is lower, but its strength lies in balance. It spreads wins across frequent hits, and those bursts of wild respin chains can snowball quickly if you time it right. Many players underestimate that structure and chase it like a high-risk game. The truth is, Starburst rewards consistency, not recklessness. For players chasing big wins, the first mindset shift is understanding Starburst's limits. You won't land a life-changing jackpot, but you can build a bankroll steadily, session after session. The discipline is where the edge lies. Here's what worked for me that night, and in countless other sessions. Stick to mid-level bet sizing, track your spin count, and respect your stop-loss limits. I knew I wasn't going to walk away with $50,000 that day, but doubling my stake? That was absolutely on the table, and I achieved it. If you liked today's video, make sure to subscribe to the channel.